Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 24 of Talking Points with KPI. Today we are doing the 2021 year review. It's going to be a little farther back than that most likely, but today I have Eric and I have Dan, fellow on the podcast all the time, what it seems like. So guys, just go into me for a little bit. How was 2021 at KPI?
Pretty insane and wild. It was our first full year, dating back to early 21. We were moved in here and just kind of getting established. It was a pretty wild winter because we were still breaking down our old location while simultaneously being sold out in here and kind of bursting at the seams. There still was not high school sports yet, so there was just a crazy amount of demand for what we were doing in the training side, just because kids really didn't have any kind of other outlets. So that winter to now has just been a whirlwind, and I know we're going to kind of chronologically go through some of these things, but it's been pretty insane.
Yeah, so Dan, go into the last winter. So coming off of COVID, people are looking for a place to train. Even before that, people are looking for a place to train because they know that this isn't going to be a necessity in the future. How was navigating that beginning stages in the winter?
I think our guiding principle as a business is try to always do what's best for the athlete themselves, and that heavily influences every decision that we make. So I think with that being tried and true through this trying time, it was tough for the last 2.5 years for everybody, all parties involved, has enabled us to then capitalize on the number of athletes that we have in the facility, the amount of trust that they give us beyond just the training, just the baseball development, plus the team, whatever it may be. I think that we've been able to build off that, and I think it has been a big step as we've moved into this new space.
And I think last winter was challenging, but it also afforded us an opportunity to kind of test our systems here. Yeah. What we had at the old place was the base of what we do here, but it just wasn't we couldn't do as much here because of the space. Mm-hmm. So last winter, not only did we have the new space, but we also had the high school athletes for a lot longer because the spring sports in high school didn't start till mid-March because of COVID. So we were able to really do a lot of trial and error last winter to kind of figure out how things work in here. So as far as how we're doing now and how locked in we are now, it's all because last winter we were able to really, vet all that out.
And even working backwards from there, I feel a lot of what we did at the old facility was we were really still in kind of that capturing phase. Like, what does this look like? How does it function? Like, if you were to ask some of the guys who are now freshmen and sophomores in college, and they would come in here and be like, this is drastically different than anything that I went through, where, we were using just radar guns and blast motion sensors. Mm-hmm. And really, at that point in time, like, still in that capturing phase, where I feel like now, and you'll hear this a couple more times as we go through this, we are in how can we apply this? How can we analyze this data? How can we use this to even further our training regimens? And we have done a massive review through each season, and Eric does a great job of presenting all that information to everybody.
And also last winter, before we move on, we were able to establish a youth development program. Like, hey, we're gonna offer particular sessions for youth. It's a mini toned down version of our full high school development program, but we have 80 kids in it right now. So in this winter, so we were able to kind of establish it, get it out there, and now it's a huge offering for us.
And I think that last pivot was to really be able to serve the needs of all athletes, not necessarily be that facility that's tied to a specific organization, where we have athletes of all teams, all levels, all experiences, and the youth development component is huge because a lot of parents are looking for ways for their kids to get better, and to bridge and connect more than just, hey, I'm doing hitting lessons or pitching lessons. We know with our youth athletes that the physical development is way more important at that time because they're primed for it. And then blending in the skill development, I think our youth development offering has really blossomed into an amazing offering.
So going into the winter, into the spring now, you guys have it's the try and true method, right? Does the work that these athletes are doing pay off in the season? Will it pay off? And that's one thing we preach. We've said it before in podcasts. We don't guarantee success, but we guarantee you're going to work hard to better your chances at having success. So talk about the success that your kids did have during the spring, because they did have a lot.
It was pretty remarkable, on an individual and a team basis. From a team point of view, some of the programs that we were closely affiliated with, that not only do we have a lot of their athletes in here, but we consult with them a lot, those programs excelled and had some pretty phenomenal springs in what was a little bit of a weird year with the COVID schedule and them starting so late, and then even going into the summer with playoffs. So we had huge success there. And then from an individual point of view, I remember I did a post on, I don't remember the exact numbers, but we actually tabulated the cumulative batting average, power numbers,
Wow.
ERA, strikeouts for our guys that trained here in the winter, and it was insane. So we feel really good about the work they put in last winter, and then they saw the success on the field in the spring.
Absolutely.
I think that the progression of this, I mean, really the first iteration of our developmental program at the high school level, like we were really patting ourselves on the back like, hey, the hitters and the pitchers that were in our program, they were healthy. Whether they had success on the field, we were really proud of the fact that they're healthy. Okay, the next iteration, okay, now we've got that dialed. Okay, now we need them to dominate. And, you know, the athletes who were tried and true in this facility, you know, majority of the days during the week and really bought into our training, those athletes did have success out in the field, big and small too. Like it wasn't just, oh, I'm CCS player of the year to, you know, I was the best player on my team, or I helped my team by hitting, you know, a home run to take us to playoffs, and we had, you know, no expectations of that.
Yeah, a good example of the individual awards is in the Blossom Valley Athletic League, where a lot of the athletes that train here play. We had the sophomore of the year, junior of the year, senior of the year, and the pitcher of the year all trained here, which was pretty incredible because that's an A league. That's one of the best public school leagues in Northern California.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we go back to the individual success of these athletes, but we're going to switch over to softball for a little bit. So you guys started out as an athlete training facility, just so happened to get a lot of baseball players and latched onto that baseball thing. But now you're getting a lot of everybody. You're getting athletes from all over different sports. Talk about how you've seen your softball from last winter into that spring develop.
I think softball has really been my passion. With the previous facilities I've worked at, the softball market is really untapped. And I think the bar for coaching within the field on average is really low for a lot of different reasons, good nor bad. And so it really started off with a small number of athletes that really were looking for a strength and conditioning option. As we evolved and things changed and coaches came and go and organizations came and go, I think we've really gotten to the point where the softball system we have in place, which is very, very similar to our baseball system, is repeatable. Girls are getting better, they're getting stronger, they're having success on the field, and the numbers showed. I mean, from the fall and winter into the spring, we tripled the number of athletes, softball players in the facility, to the point where one of the number one constraints for a female athlete in our facility is, it's all boys, it's all baseball players. There are nights where there are more female athletes on the floor than male athletes.
Well, and we've talked about it before with the addition to the all-female staff now. It's just a huge plus for these women now to come in and train and feel comfortable while doing it.
Yeah, I think I've been very adamant of trying to find coaches and the right coaches, and we joke about sometimes where we burn through coaches pretty quickly because we have pretty high standards, and we've had some attrition on that side, but some good nor bad. I think that does play a huge role when a female athlete walks in the building and, hey, I'm going to walk through my warm-ups, my arm care, my hitting, my strength, and I have a female coach, not only a female coach, but also somebody who's played at the JUCO level, at the Division 1, 2, 3. Like, we have a lot of experience in the building, and I think a lot of coaches who are hungry to help girls get better.
Absolutely. So now we're going to get into our youth development program. So we talked about a little bit in the winter. It's when you established the program. Talk about how you saw it rise in the spring. I mean, it's kind of the same thing with the baseball we've been talking about.
Well, last spring, because we held on to the high school athletes a little bit longer, we weren't able to kind of offer the huge youth program that we'll offer this spring, but we did offer 2 nights of YDP last spring, and we sold it out, and it was really good. And it was kind of the same situation as the high school last winter. We were able to kind of test out our youth development system. Does it work? Can we do a toned down version of our normal system? And it did. We also launched our members get open hitting sessions and pitching sessions on Friday nights, and that's going to kind of carry through now this spring, where they get in groups of 4, they can sign up and they get free because they're members. They get free basically lessons of hitting or pitching in here in the spring on Friday nights. Our vision for the spring, and we're going to execute it this spring because we're going to have more time with them, is that's the youth time in here. Like, that is the time that this facility is dedicated to youth softball and baseball. They get all the same coaches as our pro college and high school athletes get. They get the same setup, they get the hit tracks, they get all the cool tech we have. So that kind of started last spring, and then this spring will be the fruition of what that was.
I think the cool part with the youth development offering is it was really relying upon partnered organizations. And I think from that time to this time, we have a very diverse crowd of kids who play for all different organizations. And again, with the focus being, hey, we're going to help you develop for you as an individual. And from a youth standpoint, we really want to groom everybody to blend into our high school program. And so it really is a quote unquote dumbed down version of what we do with our high school and collegiate and pro athletes that are in here. And so I think that's been really cool to see. I have a personal, mission to provide better services for baseball and softball players. We know the lesson model doesn't work. And so we have this business premise of we want to do things better. We want to do things not different, but we want to better the services that are provided to athletes. So how can we maintain the good? Because there are some good parts of lessons. Yep. But then how do we reduce and get rid of the bad? So with our members only hitting and pitching lessons, the pricing is always the limiting factor for a family, right? If I'm going to pay $60 for a lesson, if I do that once a week, that's a couple $100 a month. Whereas all members for our current rates right now, you're going to pay $75 a month, and you can get 4 lessons. You ideally could get 8. You could do 8 lessons. And so we really put our money where our mouth is and say hey, we are adamantly against this because we know it doesn't necessarily help athletes get better. We know there's some positives, so let's take the good, let's get rid of the bad, and that's our members only open hitting and pitching lessons.
Awesome. So now we're going from winter 2020, going into spring 2021. Now we're in summer 2021. This is kind of the biggest time for quote-unquote athletes in a spring sport because this is where a lot of the higher competition gets. This is where the travel comes in. How have you guys seen those athletes that train in here? Like you said, the high-level athletes in high school, how did that success carry over? And even with KPI success, how did that success carry over into the summer?
It was a big summer for the guys that train here. I think we have over 20 Division I commits that trained here. A lot of them committed last summer. The circuit that they get on, the big events and stuff like that, there was a ton of success. We talk about going to Jupiter with a lot of guys that were in here on a travel team, Jupiter being the biggest tournament in the world for older high school players, and basically the KPI crew just swept through pool play by themselves and kind of catapulted that team. So it was pretty cool. As far as like in-house training in here, it was 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every night. It was pretty wild. So, we had a morning shift and an afternoon shift, and it was a new reality for us last summer. It's like, hey, like Dan and I just can't do everything anymore. Like we have to have we have like 20 people employed right now, and the summer was kind of the start of that model.
Yeah, I think that transition in the summer, we were talking about this the other day, where it became very apparent like this thing doesn't run without the staff that we have in place. We have a phenomenal staff, whether it's our full-time staff or our hourly coaches. We really have a great group of people who have the same mission of helping athletes get better. And the experience ranges. I think that's another cool part, where we have coaches who have major league experience to I'm freshly out of school, but I've done everything I can to learn as much as I possibly can. And then during that summertime, with the extra hours that we allotted them, they all absolutely dominated making our business better. Absolutely. And I think that we would not be where we're at without our staff. And I think that component has been huge for us. Speaking to the success of the athletes in the season, I think something that led into us selling out again in the fall and the winter was, yes, we have our high-end athletes going out and dominating, but there's family after family like, oh, I saw so-and-so, way different athlete. Oh, I saw so-and-so, he dominated during his high school season. Or I didn't even know who that was, and all of a sudden they're just killing it. Like both baseball and softball, there's athletes I know off the top of my head where coaches and parents were like, I used to either coach that player or they're on the same team, and I don't recognize that kid anymore. And I heard they were training at KPI, that's why I'm here. And I think during the summer we really capitalized on that brand recognition.
Absolutely. And so even now talking about the youth in summer, you guys were holding youth summer camps. You were able to give these kids something else to do on the younger side. Talk about how those went.
It was a new experience for us. We went really young with those. So, our youth development program usually is 10 to 14, and our foundations program is usually similar. So with the youth summer camps we did, it was every day, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., and it was kind of generally trended towards younger than 10 years old, with a little bit more. A couple kids over 10, but for the most part it was a little younger. And it was just it was a unique situation for us to be able to do that. There's not a whole lot of free time in here where we can try to offer things for younger guys. And we're able to kind of have our interns go in there and build relationships and learn how to coach and do those things. So all in all, it was a great experience. With the rate we're growing, I'm not sure if we can offer it this summer, but it was definitely a cool experience for this building and this facility and this brand to connect with a really younger demographic.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the funny feedback that we got on the summer camps component is like when you term something as a summer camp, it's literally just babysitting with an activity. Like that was our goal and our hope for it. But I think with our name and our brand and what we were bringing to the table, I think we're creating a good culture in this area that like, hey, we want player development. Like we're not here to hang out. We're not here to have a good time, which we will. Yep. But we want our kids in this facility because we know that it's proven that they're going to get better when they're within our four walls. And so I think that's why we'll like just everything else we do, we're going to continue to evolve and get better and provide better services for what our customers want.
So now we're going to go into fall. Just a couple months ago, we hit the fall. Kids are done with summer. We had a very successful summer, had a very successful spring before that. How was that fall for you guys? I mean, just straight away, how did you think it was going to go? And then how did it eventually go?
It was another first, right? Like it was the first time we had really been in here in a fall, which is a really active time from a training and baseball, softball point of view. We were not only sold out in here, but then we had multiple sessions going on at the field every week that we sold out. So that was a new reality for us that we sometimes had split coaching staffs. We had a staff in here, and then we also had a full staff out on the fields because Tuesday and Thursdays were sold out for the youth. We didn't have time for the youth to be in here in the fall, just because the high school offerings were all sold out. So it was, as we kind of go through this, and this iteration of what we're doing is going to be a fluid thing, and for the next year or two, we're basically building out a seasonal calendar that we can everyone can expect, hey, this is what KPI is going to have in the fall. This is what KPI is going to have in the winter. And so we're still in that mode, and this spring will hopefully be the last iteration of that with the youth development program. But yeah, it was still that learning and offering new things and figuring out if it worked last fall.
Yeah, I think our staff really rolled with the punches of splitting time between the facility and the fields. Our youth staff killed it. I think almost every family we have retained in some sense going into the winter, where obviously we're not out on the fields doing anything because we don't have the daylight to it. But I think the youth staff developed those relationships, and those are relationships that are going to last for much longer than just one camp or one session or one thing that you do at KPI. And so I applaud them, and I think our full-time staff going into this fall, we because we had navigated a lot of this before, we had a very skewed view of what we were getting ourselves into. We had a very captive audience. Yeah. We had no competition. There was a lot of things that were out of our way, and we had to overcome these obstacles with, hey, we have fall ball now, and hey, we have travel ball going on, and I have the high school coach, and I got football, and I got basketball, and I got all these things. And so I think our full-time staff really rolled with the punches on that front too, and helped continue to put the athletes' needs first, and the amount of structure and oversight that they were provided during this time, is leading to some of the success that we're seeing this winter, and we're going to continue to see into the spring.
Absolutely. So, I mean, we've talked a lot about the youth, but you guys have had a lot of high-level players come in this facility, a lot of pro guys in this facility. How have you seen their transition from you guys being in the summer to their fall success now?
Yeah, we started to see late fall us get some of the high school or the college players back. Many of them had trained with us as high school athletes, and there were some new faces here as well. I think we had over 20 college athletes this winter, right? Yeah. That kind of started late fall, going into this winter. We started to see pros pop their head in. A lot of agents pop their head in to kind of check out our place so they can kind of recommend to their guys come here. So, again, a new reality for us. And then we, obviously, like we've talked about, there was a pretty incredible individual success on the field of some of our high-level players last fall.
Yeah, I'd say that we kind of joke every once in a while, like when we put our mind to something, if we're going to sell out a program, if we're going to get a new offering, if we're going to bring in new clients, like it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And I think that this fall and winter with the collegiate and pro athletes, we made it very clear to our staff, like we want college and pro athletes in this building, and now we do. Yeah. And the nice part, with the small, not small group, but relatively small relative to what we do for the other offerings, those college athletes went out and dominated. We had a handful up in the Alaskan League who absolutely dominated. We had guys go out and just hit and achieve amazing things within our facility, and we're looking forward to them, dominating this spring with the different programs that they're playing for.
So, I mean, like you guys said, kind of a first for everything, kind of trying to find that system within your year. The last part of the year is the winter. So talk about how KPI did for 2021 winter.
We're doing well. I mean, we're still in it. We're kind of in the last few weeks here. We're limping to the finish line. But the winter, Cameron's going to be in here. But we sold out everything again. I mean, it's obviously a consistent theme, and we don't say that to kind of be cocky, but just to be like, let people know that when we offer something, it's going to sell out. So you should get in on that. And all of our stuff is very, very affordable, and we do that on purpose. But it's kind of, we just hashed out what our offerings look like and the selling out and all those things. But like this winter is bringing a new reality for Dan and I. We're looking at expansion. Like, are we going to open a second location in the next year or two? Do we want to expand this facility and grab more space? We're trying to get a field built in town. So we went from opening last fall 2020 quietly because of COVID and we're some permit issues and stuff like that, to now it's like,
we're here.
This is real, and we have to totally shift our mindset to the next phase and be businessmen and stuff like that. So it's been a whirlwind of a 21, but I mean, like I was told the boys, just the way we like it. We like where we're at, and we're pretty excited about what's going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I keep reiterating, applauding the staff. I think this is as an owner, and I've been on both sides, employee and owner. I think the ability to leave the building and know that everything's going to get done and it's going to be done to the quality and standard that you want as an owner. Our directors specifically have been doing an awesome job of doing that, and I'm looking forward to continuing that. I think we are working on building out more systems to educate more coaches. We'll talk about that here in a second with some of the partnerships that we've built. We know the next set of people that we need to coach and educate is going to be coaches. Because if we want a better baseball and softball within the Bay Area, in Northern California as a whole, West Coast, as we expand, we know that that's going to be who we need to get to, and so we're working really, really diligently on that too.
So new things on the horizon, as we kind of get out of this winter. We just got back from ABCA, Baseball Coaches Convention out in Chicago. We met with a lot of great vendors. We're going to roll out some new tech. We're rolling out a brand new arm care system where each pitcher is going to go through a 5 to 6 minute arm care routine with sensors. We're going to have it on an app. We're going to be able to flag if they're deficient in any of their testing, and we're going to be able to catch them early, not ask them after they're, hey, how'd that feel? It's going to be like, no, you're 20% deficient today. You're not throwing today. That's what it's going to be. So that's exciting. We are going to get a force mat, and that we'll be able to use across all of our areas. Strength, assessment, hitting, pitching, and even golf as we start to kind of go that direction some. That's going to measure ground force reaction, so we'll be able to use that. And we're also getting a TrackMan, which is basically the combination of our Rapsodos and our hit tracks and all those things on steroids, and it's going to be portable, so we're going to be able to take it to the field and stuff like that. So we have a really exciting new tech. I think the difference between us and where other people are at with tech is a lot of people are getting some of the tech that we have, and then they tell people they have the tech we have, and then they just
don't know how to use it.
Yeah, then they just kind of look at it. We were there 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago. So we're at the point now where we make every part of our tech actionable and it integrates into our programming. So we met yesterday about, hey, we're going to buy these things. We're going to make this massive investment again in tech. We have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of tech in here. We're going to do it again. We're going to re-up and make our product better. How are we going to use it? And that's always my big thing when we talk about buying something. It's like, all right, this is fancy and it looks cool, but what are we going to do with it? Because we're not allowed to just get things in here and put it in a drawer.
Well, like you mentioned earlier too, like you say, a lot of coaches get this and they just show it. I have it. You require your coaches to understand what this technology does. So like Dan said, if someone were to leave the building, a coach is now able to step in that role and understand what the application or the new tech has been going on. It's just really nice to see, and like we've talked about in many podcasts incoming, we just have the same language, and you guys teach that throughout. Going past 2021 and going into 2020, I think you guys established that right off the get-go, that everybody needs to understand the same language. We want to do it the right way, and like you said, we just want to build coaches in the Bay Area that understand what this philosophy is.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just saying the same thing over and over again. We are going to do what's best for the athletes. And we're not just going to do it with our words, we're going to do it with our actions, and we're going to do it with our money. We're going to invest into more ways to get athletes better. We're going to invest into more ways to hold our coaches accountable and ourselves accountable to making sure what we do actually works. I think the other part that's a little bit on the back burner, but hopefully we're definitely going to allocate time for this spring, but we want to evaluate all of our systems to start positioning and showing, hey, Yes, we have athletes who are within the ages of 12 to 18 that are going out and dominating, but we want to validate via the data, and we have thousands of data points. So this upcoming spring, like, keep an eye out for case studies, research, like, just more so, hey, we're going to evaluate everything we have at our fingertips and try and give more insights to how can we help your child reach their full potential in the safest way possible, in the fastest way possible, and then maintain that growth as they get into high school and college and hopefully beyond. I think we've had a small number of athletes who have entrusted us for the last 4 or 5 years, and they're seeing the fruit of that trust.
Yep.
And we're looking forward to having more and more athletes do the same thing.
So before we get on here, I mean, obviously you guys are talking about expansion, and without expansion, there comes more people that want to help out KPI. You guys have recently been partnership with a couple companies. You guys can go into that, but also I want you guys to tie in after that, just the future. Like, what do you guys want? What do you guys want people to know? What's going to happen with KPI?
I'll tackle the companies and the vendors, and Dan can maybe talk about the partnerships with some programs. But we are Blast. Bat Sense, biggest academy in California, and we're exploring ways with them to expand and get us some reports that are really, really in depth, and we can go way deeper with the swing with this stuff. So we're looking at stuff like that. HitTrax is coming out with a new motion capture biomechanics feature that they're going to have us test for them.
Awesome.
So that's going to hopefully be coming in the next month or so. And then some of the other vendors that we kind of use a lot are kind of, everyone sees what we're doing, and we have the kind of volume that they want to test, and so they're kind of really opening up their product to us to a deeper level because they want to be strong partners with us and have us kind of vet out some of their new offerings, which is pretty exciting for us because we like to nerd out with stuff like that.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so the biggest partnerships that we have on both fronts, the baseball and the softball side, with local organization, the Toros, Morgan Hill Toros, partnering with them, and it's beyond, we're training their athletes. We are helping provide better services and training to their coaches, providing education to them, providing consultation services where, I think one of the biggest downfalls in the youth side of sport is the communication component on injury prevention. And so they have a referral source now as an organization to send their players to us. Hey, this player's got something. Can you check on it? Yep. Awesome. It's beyond something we could do. Great. We have a next organization we partner with, which is a local chiropractic clinic, Active Spine and Sport. And we've been utilizing their services a ton. Our athletes are seeing a ton of benefit from working with them. Us as coaches have seen benefit from working with them. And then we have a chiropractor on site weekly to work with our athletes. On the softball side, Morgan Hill Spirit, we're partnering with them and getting their players into our facility and getting, again, I think the biggest difference I've seen on the softball side versus the baseball side is you do have to start a little younger. Girls really, by the time they're 12 or 13, it's kind of that turning point where, okay, I'm either going to go all in and I'm going to really push myself to be the best softball player I can be, or this is a social thing. I'm competing, I'm having fun. It's just a sport that I play. And so we're going to have a ton of softball players come this spring on that front. We really are trying to get into as many rec leagues, little leagues. We're working on a couple more partnerships a little further north of us with little leagues and providing coaching clinics, providing education systems for their coaches, and going out and training their athletes. Really is going to be a grassroots movement on our youth side because we do want to change baseball in this area. We know there is a ton of baseball talent in this area, and we want to try and give as many athletes that opportunity.
Something else we're going to be doing is we're going to send you out to some high schools to kind of film and feature some of our athletes and some of our high schools that have a lot of the players. We're going to assign our coaches to go to high school games this spring. So we get a chance to breathe out a little bit. It's still going to be pretty busy in here with the YDP and softball, but also going to afford some opportunities for us to work on our systems, make connections with the high schools, and because those things are really important.
Yeah, so we are working towards hopefully some partnerships too on the travel ball side of things. I think we are going to work with as many organizations that have the same mission as we do, and so we'll hopefully be able to announce some of those partnerships come springtime. And I think the other last little plug we didn't put on our notes is the summit. We got that coming up where we did it 2 years. We did it last year, 2 years ago. So last year. We want to serve as an opportunity for coaches to come see what we do, learn more, but we want to make it as applicable as possible. So as much of a workshop as a clinic per se. We're like, okay, yeah, here's an arm injury that you need to take care of, or here's a swing deficiency you need to take care of, but here's actually how you take care of it, and here are drills and exercises and ways that you can better yourself as a coach. More tools to put in your tool belt, so we got that coming up too.
Awesome.
That's it.
There you have it, folks. So thank you very much for listening to Talking Points with KPI, episode 24. I hope you all have a prosperous 2022. Thank you to the KPI crew. Thank you, Dan and Eric. We'll see you guys next time.